Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Data Tutorial. I'm Diana, and today we have someone who has trained hundreds of aspiring data analysts and helped many of them land jobs. Welcome, Ali.
Thank you so much, Diana. I'm really excited to be here because this is one topic people keep asking me about almost every day.
I can imagine. Every time I open LinkedIn, I see people posting things like, I've applied to 300 jobs, but I'm still getting rejected. Why do you think that's happening?
Honestly, it's rarely because there aren't enough jobs. Most candidates are applying before they're actually interview ready. They spend months learning Excel, SQL, or Power BI, but when they're asked a simple business question in an interview, they freeze. A company isn't hiring someone just because they know formulas or can write a SQL query. They're hiring someone who can solve business problems. That's the biggest difference.
That's interesting. So, if someone has an interview tomorrow, what's the very first thing they should prepare?
I'd actually start with something people completely ignore. Research the company. I know it sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised how many candidates walk into an interview without knowing what the company actually does. If it's an e-commerce company, expect questions about customers, sales, inventory, and revenue. If it's a healthcare company, they'll focus on patients, operations, and reporting. Understanding the business helps you answer every technical question in context.
That's actually a great point. I think many people focus only on memorizing SQL syntax. Speaking of SQL, how important is SQL nowadays? Can someone still become a data analyst without it?
I'll be honest. If someone tells me they want a data analyst job but don't want to learn SQL, that's like wanting to become a driver without learning how to steer. SQL is everywhere. Every organization stores its data inside databases. Your dashboards, your reports, your KP is, everything starts with SQL. The good news is you don't need to memorize hundreds of commands. If you're confident with select, where, group by, joins, case statements, and a few window functions, you're already ahead of many candidates.
I love that analogy. Now let's talk about technical interviews. What's the question candidates fear the most?
Without any doubt, tell me about yourself. People think it's an easy question because there's no right answer. Ironically, it's the question where most interviews are won or lost.
Really? I would have guessed SQL joins.
No, because the interviewer is judging three things immediately. Can you communicate? Can you organize your thoughts? And do you actually understand your own experience? A good introduction should sound like a story, not like you're reading your resume word for word.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. Instead of saying, my name is Ali, I know Excel, SQL, Power BI, Python, I'd say something like, I've spent the last 4 years helping businesses turn raw data into meaningful insights. Most of my work involves Excel, SQL, and Power BI, where I build dashboards that support business decisions. Recently, I've been working on automating reporting processes, and now I'm looking for an opportunity where I can solve larger business problems and continue growing as a data analyst. See the difference? It sounds natural.
Absolutely. That sounds like someone who's already working in the industry. Now, here's another thing I keep hearing. People say, I know everything, but I forget everything during interviews. Why does that happen?
Because they study, but they don't practice speaking. Knowing something and explaining something are completely different skills. I always tell my students, don't just solve SQL questions. Explain your solution out loud. Record yourself. Practice with a friend. Mock interviews build confidence faster than another 10 hours of watching tutorials.
I completely agree. Now let's talk about portfolios. Everyone says, build projects. But what kind of projects actually impress recruiters?
Quality beats quantity. I'd rather see 3 complete business projects than 20 unfinished dashboards. A strong portfolio could include a sales dashboard that explains revenue trends, an HR dashboard showing employee attrition, a financial dashboard with profit analysis, a customer segmentation project, and maybe an inventory dashboard. The important part isn't the visuals, it's your ability to explain why you built them and what business problem they solve.
That's such a good point. Because interviews aren't Power BI competitions, they're business conversations.
Exactly. And that's something many candidates don't realize until it's too late.
Before we wrap up, I want to ask something that every job seeker wants to know. What's the biggest mistake you see during interviews?
Trying to sound perfect. Interviewers aren't looking for perfection, they're looking for honesty. If you don't know an answer, don't panic. Say something like, I'm not completely sure, but here's how I'd approach solving that problem. That answer earns much more respect than pretending to know everything.
I absolutely love that. One final question. If you had just one piece of advice for someone who's preparing for their first data analyst interview, what would it be?
I'd say this: stop chasing certificates, start building skills. Companies don't hire certificates. They hire people who can solve problems, practice every day, build projects, learn to communicate, understand business. And remember, every interview, even the ones you fail, is preparing you for the one you'll eventually clear.
That's a perfect way to end today's episode. Ali, thank you so much for joining us and sharing so many practical insights.
Thank you for having me. I hope everyone listening feels a little more confident before their next interview. Keep learning, keep building, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Data Tutorial. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe, share this episode with someone preparing for interviews, and we'll see you in the next episode. Until then, keep learning and keep growing.